Okay, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم. Brothers and sisters, we've come to the end, in a sense, of this first part of our program, which is the part on networking. Of course, the education program is also about networking, but it is specifically related to education itself. So if we look back at when we started with looking, on the first day we spent most of the day looking at the ethics of engagement. How it is that looking more so at intra-Muslim dynamics. And we were able to see that one of the main problems that we have within our community is not the problem so much the threat from outside, but it is more so the threat from inside, from those around us. And very often it seems, even though we perhaps at times think alike, we seem to pray together, to eat together, somehow or the other we have found ourselves not being able to work together. And this is a real problem. And this is something that we all have to look at carefully. And when we go back, inshallah, one of the things that we ought to be asking ourselves is, why are we doing what we are doing? I remember many years ago reading an article which was written by the late Said Ashraf from Cambridge, which was published in Impact International way back in 1976. And he wrote an article in Impact magazine on doing things for Allah. And it seems as though because sometimes if you think that you're doing something which is quote-unquote Islamic or participating in dawah work, there is assumption made that what you're doing must be for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It must be fi sabilillah. But this may not necessarily be the case. This may be the opportune time when shaitan finds the means by which to influence you. And we see it so often within our activities. Now in this then we went on, we've covered a variety of topics over the last 3 days. We've looked at topics related to the Quran, of course. We've looked at the whole question of finding spaces for our women and for our youth. And we know that this is one of the main problems, especially in our mosques. Many of you, when in your presentations you have indicated that you intend to build mosques, or mosques have been built under your watch. And the question is that when you are building these huge structures or thinking about it, are you thinking about how the structure ought to be used? Are you thinking about what places, what infrastructure that you can put in place to ensure that women and young people especially would be able to utilize the mosque in the best possible way? Or are you simply thinking about a place for prayer? Prayer can be performed anywhere, but we need something much more than prayer. A masjid is not just it's more of a community center if you look back at the time of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Medina. So finding space for our women and our young people in dawah, in all our activities is critical, it's important. And this is where we have great talent that we are perhaps not utilizing to its full potential. Then we looked at other topics. We looked at topics of preventing violent extremism, radicalization, and then we also had some special sessions on looking at an outreach program, looking at other organizations within the Muslim community, because at the end of the day, even though we may have differences, and we do have differences among ourselves in terms of the way that we may think about particular issues, but that does not mean that we cannot work together. We cannot help each other. We cannot say, well, look, we disagree on 10 things, but there is this one thing which we can agree upon. This one thing we can agree upon and we can work together. And that's something for us to think about. It doesn't matter what we may disagree upon, but just look at the positive things, those things that we agree upon. And if we were to talk to each other, realize that we agree upon far more things that perhaps we disagree. And this may be the way forward in terms of us being able to come together and work together, inshallah. Then we also looked at the situation reports. And the situation reports were extremely important. They were important for a number of reasons. I mean, I have been to some meetings of Caribbean Muslims many years ago, but I have never been to a meeting which have been so comprehensive and have been so much information has been sort of shared about Islam and about the condition of Muslims in so many different Caribbean islands. And this is a real eye-opener. It's an eye-opener, and we're able to see not just individual reports and unique situations in the various islands, but we have also been able to see some of the common trends between all the different islands, some of the threats which are there, the rise of certain types of groups which are common to different islands. We have been able to look at the similarities between some of the islands, some of the larger islands. We have been able to look at some of the problems which exist in some of the smaller islands, especially in small communities. Problems of, for instance, people who are entering into Islam, where are they going to find spouses? If you have a small community of perhaps 100 or less, then the choice in which those that you may be eligible by way of being a spouse may be very limited. How are we going to address this problem? We have to be able to find a means. It's a problem even in large countries. I know in the UK it's a major problem, such that we have been trying to put into place many marriage introduction networks, so that people will be able to learn and know about each other and perhaps find the right match. But this is more so a problem in your context, coming from small islands, where there are hardly any people choice. You may be looking for particular characteristics of your choice. How are you going to be able to find the right person if it is that those that you are interfacing with, are quite limited? So these are real issues, and maybe at a Caribbean network level, this is something that we can address. We can look at, for instance, on the internet, we can introduce a Caribbean Muslim network matching program even within the internet, to be able to look at perhaps questions and share information about people over the internet, perhaps eligible bachelors, those who are looking for spouses. And inshallah, maybe something can come of it and people finding the right matches. So this is just one example of what we can do. And the issue of one of the things which came about is that many of you have been undertaking or thinking about undertaking projects, especially of infrastructure. We saw many projects of infrastructure in the building of mosques, which are important. But what we also need to think about is that an infrastructure, or working towards an infrastructure, is not a substitute for doing a dawah or doing that which is necessary. Sometimes people decide that they will do work, but they will do so when the infrastructure is ready. When the mosque is built, when all the minarets are up, when the musalla is clean, when everything is ready, then people will magically come into the faith. They will see the mosque, they will see the imam, and then they will all rush into the mosque and they will become Muslims. This is not going to happen. It is not going to happen. What is far more important is for us to invest in ourselves. As much as we invest in infrastructure can come and go. It will crumble in time. But if it is that we want to invest in human beings, invest in ourselves, invest in those around us, in being able to train them. One of the brothers from the Cayman Islands, he went to the Cayman Islands not expecting to find himself in a situation where he had to lead the prayer. He had to become the imam. He had to be able to explain what Islam is. He had to be able to answer questions about Islam to those who knew much less than him. So suddenly it dawned upon him that the responsibility was not just looking to a foreign country for an imam, that really at that point in time, he was the one that everyone was looking up to. And that, in a sense, begins to make you think and make you reflect and perhaps even powers you, gives you a sense of realization that, look, I need to be able to improve myself. I may not know what is being requested of me now, but perhaps I can find information elsewhere and then share it with others. Which brings us to the important subject of self-development. Self-development, and this is one of the critical questions I had asked and in the questionnaires, and also if you notice when you received that online application form, I did include a question on self-development, asking you specifically, what have you done over the last few years, over the last year or two, to be able to develop this? What programs are you instituting, putting in place to look? So we need to be able to look at ourselves and to be able to grow. If we don't grow, we will stagnate. If we stagnate, we will die. We would not be the same. We would not be able to function as we ought to. So self-development is critical. Self-development is something that we need to put at the top of one of our priorities, inshallah. The interfaith dialogue that we have was also very important. And one of the things that we wanted to highlight in the interfaith dialogue is that we are living in the midst of the vast majority of whom are non-Muslims, who may not share the same faith, the same ideology, the same thinking. They may have marked differences of opinion from yourselves. But still, that does not mean that you do not reach out to others, that you do not go to others, find forums, find ways in which, look at what they're doing. Brother Atallah Siddiqui was telling us about his, he did not share it with us here, but about his trip to Sri Lanka, where he was able to spend time with Buddhist community, Christians community, and Muslim community. Spend equal amounts of time with each community. Then listen to them. Say, what do you think about the other communities? And what was quite clear after discourses with all of these three different communities was that the communities do not talk to each other. They have their sense of what they think of somebody else is, these people are not good or whatever it is. And then the Muslims also feel the same. But the point being is that the Muslims, even though they may have an opinion of others, they have never been into a temple or into a synagogue or into a church. They have never been able to look at what others are doing, to be able to go into their space. And there's so many things as people of faith that we can be able to share in terms of common things that we can be able to work together with them. And working together with them also means that they have been introduced to your values, your way of thinking. It could be that you're collecting garbage together. Collecting garbage together also is an opportunity for you to share information with them and for you to learn about them as well. And they may well become good friends in time. And Allah knows that this may be the way for them to enter into the deen. So the idea of the interfaith really was for you to be able to see how we can actually all come on a common platform. And sometimes it is remarkable, but sometimes it is easier to bring together a priest, a pundit, and an imam together as it is to bring three different imams from three different ideological orientations. It's amazing. So we've come to the point now, inshallah, of Brother Ahmad is here now, inshallah, where we're looking at the point of resolutions. Because as we mentioned when we started this meeting, we said it was not a conference. And I know that many of you have been to conferences before. This is not the first time. But this was meant to be something different. This was meant in a sense to be a new beginning for all of us. We are sincere in terms of what we want. And it may seem at times that we might be pushing you to the limit to think, to be able to ask, why are you requiring from us so much information? What do you want? Why do you want us to bring forth your PowerPoints and your situation reports? And I know I have been emailing you and pestering you, and it hasn't been received on time. But there was a reason for it. Very often we do things, but there is an expectation that we can talk about things, and Caribbean people are very good at talking. But perhaps we are not so good at acting out what it is that our ideas are. And it's not just about having a loud voice. It is much more about being able to think through of all the different things and all the different beautiful ideas that we might have. Can we think about a few things that we can actually do and we can accomplish that can make a real difference in the next 3, 5, 10 years? So this is some of the things that I want you to think about. Now, we have some ideas, and this is from the discussions. So while the discussions have been going on and the situation reports have been presented, Brother Ahmed Desoy has been looking at all of your presentations and looking at what you have been saying. And he has been trying to formulate some ideas into a plan of action. You may disagree with some of the things, but this is an opportunity for you to share it. But if it is that we can share some common resolutions together, it means that when we go back, we came here as ambassadors, not just for as representatives of ourselves, but we came here, it is in a manner, we came here as ambassadors of our small communities, of our countries, of our islands. And therefore, we have with us a responsibility to be able to take what it is that we have done and to be able to share it with others and to be able to increase and to better it, inshallah. So I'm going to ask Brother Ahmed to come forth, inshallah, and to tell us about some of the resolutions. And as we go through each of the points, I want you to reflect upon them. And if it is that you have some things to say or to add, please do so, inshallah. Bye-bye.
Jazakallah khair, alhamdulillah, thank you very much, inshallah. And again, thank you all for making that effort to leave your family, everything behind, to come. We spent almost a whole week together. And I think we've been very positive. We've achieved quite a lot, alhamdulillah. And I think we can't just go home and forget about it. We need to take it to the next step. And where do we go from here? How do we plan? How do we work together? Like observing, talking to you, listening to what you were saying as one-to-one individual on reports, and we collected information as we go along. All the surveys that we've been doing, we've been collecting information to decide what are the positions in the Caribbean island and what is lacking or where things are doing where we can improve it. We've come with a list of suggestions. These are just suggestions, inshallah, and I'm sure you get better info, you get better ideas than we do, and we're going to capture everything of that. And so we made a list of things we think we should be in, some immediate gains, some long-term program. So we're going to go through them one by one. We want your feedback on them. How do you feel? Not only your feedback, is it something doable? Is it something that we can take back to our countries? And is it something we can put in practice? And from there, once we get an agreement on here, we will have to set a time, a program, the stages we need to take to get there, and we know how we're going to get there. So we're going to go very quickly one by one on the list, and we would love you to come give your feedback, your positive feedback. If you think it's not workable in your situation, tell us now. It could not be worked for one country, but it might be applicable to another country. So we want to capture as much of your feedback now, so that when you go home as well, it's not just me and Riza and Dr. Ahmad, it's our project, our program, and all of us will be working together. So on the first point, the admin office, I think I will leave that till last, but if you go into the next one, I think looking at it, there's lots of good emotion coming out of us. People speaking out how they feel, people speaking out what's not being done, people speak out very loudly what's need to be done, but much of it is based on emotion. We are very upset, we are very frustrated, and it come out. But I think as Muslims, we need to be calculated, we need to be thinking, we need to be thinkers, we need to make decisions based on evidence, and when we make decisions, we need to base on data. In this little island, He says no teachers at all. We look at the data as it comes through, and this data will help us to make the right decision. So we believe that we need more data based on your actual situation on the Muslim, a specific data on the Muslim. I don't know, Riza, what you think about data. Maybe you can give a bit more information on that.
Now, there was a question on data, and some of you were struggling to find an answer of what it is that we actually meant by data. That scientific data is important. Any government will not just haphazardly put into place projects without knowing exactly what the needs are. So it's part of doing a situational analysis and looking at the data so you might say there are 100 Muslims on the island. This may be the case. But knowing that there are 100 Muslims on the island is not enough data. You need a further breakdown of these 100 Muslims. How many of them are young people? How many of them, what age groups are they? Are they old? Are they young? What are their specific needs? What is the level of their education? If it is that the adults, how many of them are single? How many of them are married? How many of them are working? How many of them are unemployed? All of these things are important. How many of them are professionals? So this type of information is important because we're not just looking at trying to have a community of another 100 Muslims or increase that in itself is good. But more so we want to be able to see how it is that we can also upgrade the level of those 100 Muslims who exist, together with trying to bring more people into the faith. And therefore, by understanding exactly what your needs are, by getting the right data, then, or the right information, then we can make informed decisions. Then we can say, yes, if it is that we were to invest in this or in that project, that it will work, because this can be the expected result from it. So data collection is like gold dust, as they would say. It is something which is so important. Brother?
In terms of collecting this data, how are we going to the security of the data?
Right. So security of the data is something. And this, now the data that we are talking about is data, most of which is data some of which is available online, but most of it is data which is just demographics of your community. It's of course, in terms of security, you're absolutely right. We have to have some form of protection of data, and to ensure that data is not shared willy-nilly with others. And that is something, and data can only be released with the permission of those who the data concerns. So that, in terms of data protection, is something which is important. But we also need to be clear about what it is that we are doing. Whatever it is that we are doing is something that we have to be above board, in terms of we are not doing something which is going beyond what is legal. Legal not just in what we would call legal within Islam, but legal in the land in which we are practicing our faith. That is something which is critical. And that is something, and therefore, all of what we do, we should try to be as open as we can. One of the things that you would realize in this particular program is that you had the head of the United Nations here. You had people that you wouldn't have dreamed here. The Deputy Attorney General of this island was present here on stage to be able to see exactly what we're doing. So we are trying to make a statement, and the statement that we are trying to make, and we hope that we have made, is that we are above board. We want to make it clear that what we are doing, we are not saying and doing things behind closed doors, but we are doing things in an open environment. But data production is critical. Yeah.
All right. With respect to the data collection, I think most countries in the world and most countries in the Caribbean, they do what is called, in my opinion, a census, right? And that census, the data collected in that census is used to guide the authorities in terms of planning. And that happens, it's something, if you don't have it, you can't plan properly. As far as security is concerned, if you don't have that, I don't know what you can talk about security. So in my opinion, if this is going to be successful, you need to have a proper census of the Muslim community in the Caribbean. And to do that, it cannot be done willy-nilly. You have to pay some people who understand the dynamics of conducting a census, to conduct the census and get information back to the central point.
And you're absolutely right, brother. Very often we depend upon volunteers to do things that we want to be done in a professional way. And at times volunteers can work, but doing something as this calls for investment. And I think it is an investment which is well worth undertaking, inshallah.
I think just to facilitate the brothers, this is something looks big on paper. What we will do as organizers, you are all organizers by the way, is to help you with some questions, like what Dr. Riza mentioned, data to be collected on AIDS. So it's for Muslim community. We in Mauritius to have 1 billion or 3 million people. We as a Muslim organization, we can collect information. There is no name for security, there is no name of the person, but there is some formula who will help you. Mosque, community center, organization, NGOs, it's anonymous code, but with some specific information which we need. That will be helpful. You don't need to be scared. Data is something. We will help you.
Inshallah. But if it is that the important thing about the data collection is this. We're talking about people, but we do have people around this table. Look how many of us are here. If it is that we were to go back to our islands and become people who will take charge of some of this data collection, we will be able to get a huge amount of what it is that we require. So we can, what I'm trying to emphasize is that we are people who can actually do a lot of what we're talking about with the help and guidance of others that are around us, inshallah. Let's move on to the next one.
So when we look at the data, probably inshallah very quickly, we're going to decide based on the project we take on what sort of data we need. So we're going to feed back with your permission what sort of data. So are we all on that we need data, but we don't know what data yet, but we're going to refine it, go down to that next level? Are we all in tune with that? And you're all going to support each other to do that, inshallah? Okay, Jazakallah khair. And I think one of the good things, one of the best things has come. We've come all the way from all the Trinidad countries and islands to be here. Now we can put a face to the name. We know if you talk about any brother in here, Brother Yunus or whoever, we know exactly who we are talking to. When we get an email from the brother, I could see the brother in my mind. I've met the brother, I trust him, I know him. That's networking, inshallah. And I think we need to keep that going. We need to share the networking, and there's many ways we can network. And we've got some, for example, produce a website for the region, information sharing among the island, have a contact list of your brothers and sisters in the island. If you're going to that island, you know who you can meet, who you can check, and where you can go. If you need some help, you know which resource, which island got. You can ring that brother in that island because you met him, you know him. We come to this meeting here. You can ring that brother, I'm brother Abu Bakr. I want your help. Do you remember me? I need your help. I need an imam. I want somebody, a hafiz to come and lead us for Tarawih prayers. Can you give me an idea? With that networking, and then we should be in contact with each other constantly, maybe in a form of a newsletter, in a website. We need to be talking to each other. We need to know each other by first name, contact details, email address, telephone number. And I think we need to create that database. And it will help each and every one of us, inshallah. Yes, brother. Alaikum salam.
What I think is needed SMART goals. Okay? You need to create specific objectives. They need to be measurable in your statements there in your bullets. You need to have attainability. They need to be realistic. And more importantly, I think of all of the elements, there needs to be a timetable. You need to attach a time frame for all of the items, and we need to separate what are goals from objectives. Okay, goals are broader spectrum, and objectives can be focused to describe something that you want to see happen within a certain framework, and within a certain time frame. Okay, so I think we should be guided by the ability to write clear objectives, SMART objectives, SMART goals. Specific, it's an acronym, okay, but this is something that I've taught my teachers to use in writing their lesson plans. Specific,
Yep.
measurable, attainable, realistic, that is time-driven.
Yeah, inshallah.
So I think we should work on that.
We will be smart. We will be smart, inshallah. That's the acronyms are used for. You will look a bit. Jazakallah. And you will look a bit further down. Our suggestion and project management and report writing objective is one of the. We need to train our brothers to get in that mind frame. Our being professional, being specific, working to targets, working with measurable targets. We're looking at having a proper timeline. We need a start and a closure of each project. We need to be able to. These skills, inshallah, we want to bring that to the Caribbean. We've got loads of experts, inshallah, who are willing to come and help train our brothers, train leaders. You will find a bit later down, the proposal is to get these qualities into our brothers and sisters, not only here, to our youngsters. That's part of the plan, inshallah. Thank you for reminding us on that. Jazakallah. And like I said, we need to be smart in our work. And if not, we will get nowhere. So, this is a proposal, and I'm sure you got 101 other proposals how we can network, and I don't know, Riza, how we want to take that forward. Do we?
We'll start what we have and then
Yeah, we start with what we have, and then we will circulate. We will put proposal, inshallah.
I think the key is that as you share your ideas, and there's still lots of time to share your ideas between now and when we depart and when we leave. And also beyond that, we will share all of these resolutions and so on with you. In other words, it's something which is fluid, it's something which can be improved upon, it's something which you need to be part of. And inshallah, we will get there, inshallah. So, but it is something, a plan that if we agree upon it, it is something that we are all, in a sense, signatories to it. And if you're signatory to something, it means you are as responsible as one of the signatories to be able to fulfill the plan. If we've worked together as a body as we are around this table, then we will be able to achieve so much more than we are in our own islands, inshallah.
Jazakallah. So inshallah, as long as we are agreeing now, it's at a high level, and then we need to go down to the granular level and start breaking it down into workable activities, inshallah. That will be the next step down, inshallah. The next phase of our stage of that big program. It's a massive program. We need to break it into chunks, and we need to break it into smaller projects, manageable, and which we can, like processes, measure it and make progress as we go along. The next big, almost every one of the report and feedback we had, there were worries about our youngsters. So not coming to the masjid, not interacting with Islam, being ignorant about Islam, not helping the elders to take Islam forward, not understanding what dawah is, don't have the skills to take this forward. We are planning some sort of a youth program. Each one and every one, we got youngsters. We are planning of a program, and these are the sort of things. Have youth camp, youth training, production and circulation of, we can produce circulation. Triple ID has loads of training manuals, and there's different projects working on that. Run skills workshop like project management, how we're going to get things going, decision making, all these basic skills, things that we took on in England, in Mauritius about 20 years ago. We want to bring this sort of experience into the Caribbean and help our brothers and run trainers program. We train our youth to take leadership, to go ahead. We train somebody to go ahead and train another group. So we need to get some sort of a work program in place for the youngsters. And youngsters, we're talking between 18 and 30 to 35 years. That sort of age range. We need to target these people so our future leaders, future people will take on from us. I think you're in agreement with me. If you got any question, any objection to that, does anybody have any different ideas on the youth training? Are we happy to take that forward? If we are not just, like I said, at this moment it's a high level sort of proposal, we all agree as a group. It's just not me and Riza or Dr. Ahmad, we are agreeing it as a group. And something, once we say inshallah, we take a commitment to take that to our community and to take that to the next level. Are we happy with that? I know we are very tired. We had a very heavy, long day today, and we are tired as well. But if you're happy with that, that's something we can start working on, inshallah, and there's quick gains on that. And we can send resources from different parts of the world to come and help you for a weekend, for a week, for a few weeks to get this plan, this program going and help you setting up these sort of regular activities and give you guidance, give you plan, and work with you to make it happen in each of the individual countries. And if you're happy to get our youth on track, I think this is some of the programs. These are not comprehensive, it's just a list of suggestions we put across, and I'm sure you get better ideas than us as well, inshallah. We are in agreement on that, inshallah. What's the next one? Yeah, there's loads of, during the course of this program, there's loads of people telling us like chaplainship, visiting prison, Muslim in prison, interfaith, dialogue with other communities, working with the authorities like training police to understand the requirement and need of the Muslim, working with doctors and nurses, telling them about the needs. There's loads and loads and loads of specialist program, best practices that we can get to share with the Caribbean, inshallah. And there's loads of, like Dr. Atallah has so much, a vast bank of knowledge. Dr. Abdullah has so much knowledge in his own areas. We can get these people to share this best practice, come and train other people to understand things like that. So that's something we need to look at. We don't know how we're going to do it yet, but I think coming from these meetings, these reports, something I think we would need for the Caribbean, inshallah.
See, many of the best practices that we have been able to identify from the different reports can be properly written up and can be put onto a website, for instance, our dedicated website. What it would mean then is that you can, if it is that you want to institute a particular type of activity, it could be that you wanted to organize a weekend youth training program. How do you organize it? What are all the things required while planning this activity? So if it's there on the website, you go to the website, you look at it, the curriculum might be there, all of the different things, a checklist of all of the different things that you need to put into place for the activity. So everything might be there. All you need to do then is to be able to implement what is there. And this is just one example. There's so many examples of good practice that we can identify as a group, being able to share on a common platform that anyone can access, inshallah.
And also since, just one second, and also since Dr. Ahmad came say about fundraising, how we put a proposal, we want to have a big project, we want to send big sponsor, we want sponsorship. How do we put together a very professional, well-defined project plan that goes up to these people? As soon as they look at it, say, yes, these people is true. The project writing, proposal writing, how do we fundraise? All this, there's already, the model already exists out there. We want to bring it, inshallah, to the Caribbean. You follow this model, you adapt it to your own particular situation, and then, inshallah, you'll be more successful in our endeavor than just trying to write a letter to somebody saying, I want some money. Get it structured, understand like objective, what you want to do, what will be the benefit to the community, how we're going to measure, how we're going to use that money, how we are accountable for that money. All that can be put in a report that will look very professional, and they know that you know what you're talking about. And this sort of best practice, we can bring it to Caribbean. And like I said, we can just give you the template. That's how you do it. Adapt it to your things. And not that we got it, but we can, we as a group can find out and bring it to our own countries, inshallah. Yes, brother.
to me, right, all of us here are here because we want to be here.
Inshallah.
But at the same time, we look at you guys as, people who are trying to move this event, this project, this idea forward. But I think what is needed as an instrument, in terms of my leadership style, I like to have my people around me laid back. Understand the concept of that. Your allegiance. So my concept is this. If we can make a statement, a mission statement, a pledge, be the opening of our mission. And we need to pledge to ourselves and to each other to make fair and adhere to this mission. And all of us would sign off to it as a starting point. Because like how I think, how I think about self-defense as a martial artist, you have to be able to go fight with me and line up in that foxhole. I want to trust you in there with me. So we got to make fair. Okay? So I'm looking at an instrument that we could formulate, write, and say, well, I pledge to adhere to the goals of CMNC or whatever at this point and these goals and this mission. Okay, so I think that would be a starting point if you're going to use an instrument to get us all on board. Now, if there's some people that don't like that statement, they need to add to it. It should be short, to the point, and have all the things that we're looking to do as a group. Okay, so that's...
No, fair point, alhamdulillah. I think that's very important to get that vision statement and sign up to that vision statement. Inshallah, we will do that. And also, but looking at every brothers and sisters here, over this few days we've lived together, slept together, we've been eating and sharing and talking and joking and being serious at the same time. We could see the commitment, especially the youngsters. Alhamdulillah, it's so pleasing. The commitment, the zeal to take things forward. The concern we've got for Islam, for Muslim and our community, we could see that commitment is already there. That's going to be lost once we leave that room, inshallah. But what you said is also we need to follow it up by some formal commitment as well. But that we will take that on, inshallah. Don't worry. Jazakallah khair. And that next one, it's a more of a long-term project because we need to have Muslim in the right place to help in policy making and decision making. We need to have people at the professional level. Like yesterday, that brother from he's such a young guy, but yet what's his name, the brother from the Attorney General, he was here yesterday. Such a young guy, but he's defining policies. He's in a position to advise the government, the Attorney General, that's what you should be doing, that's a sort of law. Why can't we have Muslim in this sort of position? Why can't we have Muslim in the position of decision making, policy making, influencing decision, not for the betterment to protect the Muslim right, but we need to prepare our brothers and sisters to be at that position. We need to facilitate them to go and get that education, get that skills, that when they come back, people will listen to them. When they talk, they won't talk of emotions, they will talk based on facts and figures. There's decision making, and they will be to talk and people will listen to them. When that person spoke, people listen to him. And people will take attention because he's a policy maker, he can go and influence policies. So we need to be able to look at, we need to start what I've said here, have a session of work, have some survey with among Muslim brothers and sisters who are going to education. Maybe somebody is so brilliant, he has got no money, he needs support. Probably we can offer a scholarship to somebody like Dr. Ahmad. He suddenly realizes an opportunity to send somebody to Malaysia to study and to come back and help his community. We need to start looking in our communities where this opportunity, where we can promote things, get people to move up the ladder. We can't only just be beggars waiting. Government make a decision, whether you're Muslim, non-Muslim, everybody need to abide by it. And we should be in a position to advise the government, to advise policymakers, to advise at that level. have a think tank. People will be talking and putting proposal, talking Dr. Alwani, going to the university. We can put proposal, we can make research paper and send them across. We need to have the Muslim at that caliber, at that level, that at the cool head will influence decision making, influence policies, and that's something, it's a long term. But we need to start thinking whether we have 5 people in our community or 100,000 in our community, something we need to be very serious, and we need to encourage and once we got through the youth training program, while we can identify the youth, we should immediately find potential. We see so many potential. Myself and Riza and Dr. Ahmad, we see potential. And we should be able to recognize this potential and give every encouragement. Positions we can see will be a future leader. Encourage them to go up to PhD, doctorate, and higher level. When they come back, they become an authority in that country. And so Muslim people that has come through our hand, we make them a good Muslim. And they will come and help our society. We need to be very serious about that. We need to have a strategy about that, each and every of the country. We need to be able to understand what we need to do as a Muslim to support and promote that. Yes, brother. Assalamu wa rahmatullah. I can't hear, brother. Come here. Yes, brother.
I want to say something right now. I'm going to try not to be too emotional.
We've got a lot to go through anyway,
Yeah,
inshallah.
what I'm hearing, right, is that, okay,
Why don't you come?
Come to the mic.
okay, I'm going to try not to be too emotional. But I have a comment. I want to, and a question at the same time as to how do you define,
Not to meet the audience.
okay, how do you define, you say we need to be professionals. I'm wondering, how do you define professionalism? Because to me, I'm a professional carpenter. I don't have a degree in it. I studied in school, I did CXC, I did woodwork, and I became a carpenter. I'm in the field of carpentry. I'm hearing about doctorate and all of these things. That's well said and done, but I'm here. I'm here at this meeting trying to network with Muslims around the Caribbean, and I'm only at the level of a carpenter. So how do you define professionalism? Because you're making it sound like as if my carpentry skills is not professional and I need to go study to be a doctorate or a bachelorette and these kind of things. To me, that don't really fit in my category. A lot of people that I have to deal with back in my community, they're not doctorate, they're not masterate. These people are just regular people to me. So it sounds like you're saying there's a difference between regular people and professionalism, because I'm here. I want to know what it is I have to do in my community when I go back. I'm here now, they're not here. Right? It's okay to say, okay, you admire this guy, you come here, and he's at this level and this level and this level, and you could think here, he could do this for you and do this for you and do this for you. But what about me? I am here now. What am I supposed to do with all this information? That's what I want to know. What am I supposed to do with all of this information that I'm gathering? Right? So I'm not offended, but I just want to be clear on certain things as to what professionalism is. I am a professional carpenter. That's for sure. I could read plans, I could do all of this. So we need to know, we need to redefine what professionalism is, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, brother. Very valid question, alhamdulillah. And we're not meant to offend anybody, but I'll give you 1 or 2 examples what we mean by that, inshallah. You know, one example, our sisters here, when they go to hospital, if they're having a baby or whatever, they would want to see by a woman doctor. But some our brothers don't want our women to go in higher education. If you want a woman doctor, then you don't train your people to become a doctor, your sister to become a doctor, and then you're still expecting your wife to be seen by a woman doctor. It doesn't make sense, does it? We're not saying that your profession is not important. Alhamdulillah, every profession is important, whether he's a laborer, whether he go and clean the street. Everyone perform a very important job. That's why society functions. But what we are looking at, we need to promote people. Like to become politicians. We need to promote people to go to teach our children in our university. I would love my children to be taught by a professor who is a Muslim, who understands about Islam. When he's talking about evolution, he knows what he's talking. He can guide my child about evolution. We want people at that level, not that anybody. Everyone has their own potential, own quality, but we need people to be able to go to that level. Not that anyone else is less important. Everyone is important, but we need this sort of a caliber, this special caliber of people Allah has created that will get to that level. If you become a politician, you influence decision. If you become a professor at university, you can guide people to go to research on a particular area. Ask Dr. Atullah, ask Dr. Alwani here, so we'll tell you, but no offense to anybody. But what we're looking is that's a long term. Maybe we are not making ourselves clear. That's a long term objective. We need to start thinking about that. I don't know if you want to add anything like that.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that whatever I say, that it will not offend anyone and so on. But a lot of times in my life, I have to challenge authorities, and I understand the broader concern with the words professionalism. I also, before I was a Muslim, I used to ponder on the word success. I wanted to be successful. And what does that mean to be successful? So I think successful had meant to have more wealth, to have 2 and 3 houses, to have cars, to have a good job, to wear a tie, and all of those things. That is most of us, our dreams in the West. So I pursue that. I help people. I wanted to be a good Christian. But most important, I want to go to heaven. That was my concern. So I thought I was on the right path. I was working in a bank. It seemed like a very noble job. And I'm helping people and so forth. I consider myself a professionalism. Right now, a professional. I consider myself right now a facilitator, a slave to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If the bathroom needs to be clean, I clean it for my brothers. Each one of us has a role. But we must not underestimate each other, and do not underestimate the people of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to be very careful. We're dealing with 2 systems, and at times I dealt with different systems. I had to challenge bank, I had to challenge insurance company, I had to challenge doctors, and alhamdulillah, today I'm standing because they totally write me off. I give up everything for this deen. And I know the struggle of the people in the Caribbean. We come from different ethnic backgrounds, but we have to be careful because then we are speaking. This is bigger than what we think. Because then we are speaking, if I say a name, you're speaking about Islamic State. And then it's going to seem like very negative. There's something going on here with these people. We have to stop this. Who got this data? This. So we have to target this one, that one, and break it up or water down the Islam. I don't want no one to water down my Islam. I want to be a true Muslim. I'm simple, I'm emotional, and maybe this emotional, they say he's dangerous. I'm not dangerous. I'm a humble guy. I want to remain humble. But at the same time, I do not want to be taken for granted. And I'm not afraid to stand up for authority. I only fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because I was dealing with professionals who they said it was Muslims as well, but I don't see them coming by the masjid. Maybe they're professional, but who are they working for? So they're more working for the system than they're working for the Muslim community. So where are your allegiance to the people of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Because our first allegiance is supposed to be to our ummah, because we are a society within the society. And as a Muslim then, what is our vision? We're supposed to have a mission, and what is the bottom line? Because some of us can encounter big problems along the way. I have all of my things documented. I try to keep everything clean. I keep my taxes, everything clean. But as you know, anytime you're a Muslim, you're stigmatized. I do a lot of logistics for Jamaats and so on. When I pass with the Jamaats, they're all in the Juba and so on. It's all fine and well. Everybody in the island, they're excited and so on. But when you reach to the immigration, they pass and they took my passport and they called me back because they have to put something in the data. And that what they put in the data is to now profile that person. And now they have to profile my movement. If funds is coming to me, they have to verify and call this one and call that one. So sooner or later, they tries to cut you off. And that is the reason that we have to be very careful with providing certain data. I understand the concerns with security and so on. It is a very sensitive issue because it is we then want to build a strong Muslim community and we want the best for humanity. But there is an enemy of Islam and we cannot be naive about that. That's all I have to say. Okay.
Professionalism means two different things. Professionalism could be your own profession that you're doing, that you're involving, or it could be how you operate in whatever you do. So everybody here could represent two different positions. It could be what you're doing at home as a profession for your living, but what you are doing here is representing a community, which means that you represent a different profession. You could be an imam in a community, but you could also be a taxi driver, as the case may be, or in your case, a carpenter. So when we talk about professionalism, we are not trying to talk about the actual profession you do as a living. We are talking about professionalism in conducting Islamic affairs. And therefore, we need to do that. And what they're talking about, upgrading your skill level, because we have guys who are administrators in the masjid, and we need to train them to become the best administrators, the most professional administrators. That is the training that we are talking about. If you're an imam, we will want to provide training for you to become the best imam, to be a professional imam. So let us not mix up the two meanings of profession and professionalism. One refers to your occupation that you do, but the other one means the level at which you operate at. So when Ahmad speaks about bringing professionals to help you, it doesn't mean that something is wrong with you. It means that we want to make you professionals in whatever sphere of Islamic activity that you conduct. Jazakallah.
I want to say one small thing.
Just quick, brother, we got lots to do.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين أما بعد. Now, alhamdulillah, we all have to assume that we came here with the pure intention, with purified intention, right? So there may be misunderstandings in communication and language, but inshallah ta'ala, let's assume the best of each other, right? That we all have pure intentions. There are a few points though, inshallah, that I'd like to mention. One, I believe that a session like this is not the most effective at the point in time when people are sleepy, right? And also, a session like this requires persons who are on the ground in terms of dawah activity. And it is clear because, alhamdulillah, I've done activities with these nations as well in terms of coordination. There are many organizers and many other organizations that are missing who would have excellent, tremendous input and vast input into a session like this. Also, some of us are just representatives, single representatives from our island. And for us, even though we were given the mantle to come and represent the Caribbean community, it was not an understanding that we would, in a sense, make a decision making for the Caribbean communities. So a forum like this, in my opinion, is that a lot of the persons who are, as we use the word professionalism and qualified, a lot of the qualified individuals are absent. Because if we notice, we always have to return to the Quran and the Sunnah. And if we notice, is that we have Dr. Tutunji, alhamdulillah, but we don't have a lot of the learned individuals in terms of Islamic knowledge and how we should channel our planning, etc., that are here today. Yes, alhamdulillah, we have academics, but the academics have to work in tandem with the ulama. We have to work in tandem with those who are learned in Islam to ensure that whatever decisions we make, that they are grounded. We also need more persons from the various community. It would not be fair for me to make a decision for the Jamaican community. Because just as how we have a shura, there are 7 persons on the shura. If it's only 3 of us, we cannot make a decision, and that's 3. Now for me as one to make a decision, that would be unacceptable. I mean, it would not be accepted in my community, and I don't know how it is in the other communities, but for one person from Ashura to make a decision that we say that this is the action plan, we are moving forward for Jamaica and the Caribbean, it would not be accepted. So in my opinion, alhamdulillah, the intention is good, but I don't see this being effective. And as someone in terms of Islamic work for many years, when I believe something will not be as ineffective, I see it as a waste of time. Right? So I think this is something we should delay. Whatever points we have, yes, we can bring it, and then find a way to bring it back. Consult our communities and bring it back. Bring back the feedback that this is what the thought is, a 5-year plan, etc., and bring it back. But to sit here within 30 minutes when everyone is tired, and also when we don't have a lot of the major organizations and the major organizers who are locals, because alhamdulillah, if we notice the facilitators, they don't live in our communities, right? So the facilitators, they are not local here. And one of the things that, in my opinion, that was very sad and disappointing was that even though the program is hosted here, the Trinidad and Tobago report was the only report that didn't follow a format. We have to lead by example. So even though we have the host nation had no report, as everyone had a template that they had to follow. There was absolutely no template. It was just a brief speech of the history, and that was pretty much it. So inshallah ta'ala, as I said, I believe that the intentions are pure. It is a good effort, but in my personal opinion, this is not an effective session. So inshallah ta'ala, I don't see this being the session to make a decision as an action plan for the 5 years. Allahu a'lam. I'm no scholar, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us success here and until Yawm al-Qiyamah. Jazakallah khair.
Assalamu alaikum. Brother, my name is Shahid, I'm from Aruba, and some of the negative things I'm listening, I'm not feeling pleased about what I'm hearing, because I know these brothers that sponsor us, to come here on this network meeting to unite us, to become together. I don't see any problem in that if we are clean. If we are screened. In Aruba last year, the detective came from Holland and screened all the Muslims in Aruba. See if we are associated with any radical Muslims. They tap our phones. They do all that already. So my dear brother, I am with this committee that sponsored this thing, and if they want to do any network for Aruba, I'm very happy for that. Because I know this program is to educate and to give dawah to the Muslim and to unite all the Caribbean countries together. And I don't see, maybe we have some over-educated people like that offending anyone. Maybe some people are scared, some people are that. What I can tell you, when I am in an environment that I know that these people are doing this for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I know that I am on the right track, and I know from Aruba I can talk to represent my island and my small ummah that we are 100% with this network. Ameen.
I think the point that Brother Tariq made is quite useful in terms of, we know it's quite late in the evening, and sometimes when it is that your mind is tired, you don't think as clear as you should. And so that, in a sense, what we are trying to achieve in this session is not to be able to make some sort of legal will or commitment or binding agreement. It is about us being able to share ideas. You might agree with some, you may disagree with some. Part of all the comments that you have been indicating and making tonight, inshallah, we will add to the document. The document will then be shared with all of you. There are some things you might agree with, some things you might disagree with, some things you would want to take back to your community, which is fair enough. We're not asking you to sign off or make a decision on behalf of the community. I think we want to make that clear, inshallah. But as part of what we are doing here at this networking meeting, it is about us. What it is that we can do, even as individuals, what it is that we can do to be able to help our communities, inshallah. Our brother wants to say something.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I would like to start with this Urdu saying, मुद्दे इलाक बुरा चाहे तो क्या होता है, वही होता है जो मंजूर खुदा होता है. Meaning that whatever obstacle is in your way, whatever happens or whatever will happen, only that will happen that is according to Allah's will. I believe that we are here because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had wanted that we should be here. That is my belief. If Allah loves you and Allah loves me, He will look for a way to connect us together. That is my belief. And I also learned that Dr. Ahmad Tatunji set foot on Trinidad 1968. That is exactly the year that I was born. And that day when I heard this, made me realize that after 49 years, it took 49 years to be here and to meet him. It took 49 years to be here with you. There is a reason for this gathering. There's a reason for this congregation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not let you come if there was no reason. I believe in that. And yes, we will fail. We are in light now because of one person. We have this beautiful light because of one person. And you know who that person is? Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison. He said that I did not fail. He said that only that I knew 1,000 ways that don't work. He gave another definition of failing. Fail. First attempt in learning. You will fail. You will get disappointed. You will not see any future in this. But be not discouraged. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I'm from Belize, and I was a converted Muslim in about 1977, and I came to Trinidad 1976, along with some people from the Caribbean Council of Churches. And I became a Muslim the following year. And from the time I became a Muslim, I have seen that the Muslims in Trinidad, in Belize, in Guyana, in Suriname, in Saudi Arabia, in Africa, in England, in the United States, everybody is doing great. Every country that I've been, the Muslims are doing great. I have not found nothing that is really wrong with Muslims. There is a natural human tendency that sometimes we like to complain. But we are doing well. We are not losing. I came to a training program in Guyana, Hog Island, in 1980. And I was fighting to recite Kul Huwa Allahu Ahad. The Muslims in the Caribbean here have been working together forever. This is not a new thing. We've been working together forever. This is what is happening here is not that something that was just planned and that will be stopped. It will not be stopped. We are really good and we are all professionals. Every one of us. The Muslim school that we've graduated more than 3,000 students in Belize, started with 6 people. A sister that didn't go to high school, just a primary school. And that was in 1976. That school now has a monthly budget of $30,000. So it's close to $250,000, and the teachers, the minimal now they have is an associate degree, but we started with a teacher that just finished primary school. So things have to improve, and things have to become like a little, when we're saying professional, it means that you upgrade. But even the teacher who just had a standard 6 education, she did a professional job. And Muslims, we are winning. This is what I am professional at. I can encourage you all. I told some Muslims and they didn't believe me. I tell them, we Muslims in Belize, we're not broke. We're not poor. We don't need nothing. We have everything from Allah. We have brains, we have land, we have the people of Belize, we have all the resources. We have you brothers too. We have Dr. Tutunji. We have the Muslims in Saudi. The Muslim world is well equipped. We have to look at our positive side. We have a lot of negative things. We have a lot of things. Sometimes I wonder myself, maybe I'm not even a good person. Even sometimes I wonder this. But I'm so glad that I am a Muslim, and I'm so glad to have you brothers as my friend. All of you, you're my friends. That is enough for me, just to meet some of you brothers. That brother Samsudin that came with talk, I just love him. This little young brother, when I look at him, I look at myself. I say, he's so energetic. I feel all the enthusiasm. This Muslim that is here alone, I see myself. It makes me want to live again. Islam will win, brothers. That young man will help us. We don't have to think if it's not sustainable. Islam is sustainable. We will win. Winning. We are winning. So that is all I want to leave with you. My name is Kalim El-Amin. I can talk for another 10 hours. Kalim means الذي يجيد الكلام. هذا هو أنا. ولكن في هذه المؤتمر أنا ساكت كان قبيلة أنا Jews. But I want to leave it with you all. Muslims, we are winning. We are doing good. Don't let these little negative things and this and that like that. We are winning, and this is a great conference. I love being here in Trinidad. I want to go to the beach tomorrow. I want to walk around and eat some shadow benny, and everything is great. So let's end with a good note, and let us go and have a little sleep tonight. And as the brother said, maybe in the morning we will be so energetic and lively, and then we can do some more things, because what you have accomplished already, we've accomplished a lot today. Since we came here, we've accomplished a lot. In my mind, this is successful, this is professional. We need to do nothing else more for tonight. We can take it easy, because we are on the winning streak, and we don't want nobody to say anything negative after I've done told you all is well. You believe it? We say Allahu Akbar. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Allahu Akbar.
If I can ask Brother Yunus, I think you have the one.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin wa salatu wa salamu ala ashrafil mursalin. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri. I want to call our attention to what I see to be a dangerous trend. How do I define danger? Islam is a completely different religion in the sense that we are the only religions that is having the complete set of book that is directly revealed to Allah by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. 17 times a day, we Muslims say in our prayer, Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Guide us to the right path. Guide us to the right path. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to answer the same prayer in Surah Al-Baqarah. Alif Lam Mim. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. Now, this particular community, if we go by the steps in which Allah said we have created you from man and male and female, and we have made you into ethnic groups and tribes. The first thing is that so that you may know each other, you may get introduced to each other. So this is the first and foremost opportunity, that we have to know each other. But let's go back to the story of Sayyidina Yusuf, ala nabina alayhi salatu wasalam. When he was put in prison, he did not start by saying, I am a Muslim, I am a prophet, I am no. He started with the best attitude. And until the fellow prisoners were able to know that this one is not like us, they were now able to come to him with dreams. And they said, Inna naraka minal muhsinin. Do you know what that means? For your fellow prisoners to testify that we find you that you are perfect in the way you interact. I think we have to go step by step, and more importantly, let our references come from the Quran and the Sunnah, not from emotion. We have people who are born into the religion, yes. We have people who have been many years into the religion, yes. We are still brothers and sisters. Our reference should always be the Quran and the Sunnah. If we make a mistake and we create a path whereby we want to introduce modernity into Islam, leaving behind the path that is already guided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, guided and stamped, then we are going to be making a lot of mistakes, and there is going to be a lot of disagreement. We need to follow the Quran and the Sunnah. Everything is already stated there. We only need to use the story of any of those prophets, and we are going to be guided right. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he mentioned many of the prophets. I said, أُولَٰئِكَ الَّذِينَ هَدَاهُمُ اللَّهُ فَبِهُدَاهُمْ فَاقْتَدِوا. These are the list of people that Allah guided. O Prophet Muhammad, take root from these people. And then he told us, Muslim brothers and sisters, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ لِمَّنْ لَيْسَ لِكُلِّ وَاحِدٍ. There is for you in the apostle of Allah the best of example, for not for everybody, it's only for those who are expecting to meet their Lord and they remember Allah a lot. So my one point note is that please and double please, if we are looking for success in any undertaking, Is this particular being one of them? Let our references be always be the Quran and the Sunnah. May Allah guide us right.
If you can ask them, brother. Brother Wazir, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum. For the elder brothers of the Caribbean and for the youngsters, since 1977, 77, right? Since 1977, with the coming of Rabita, Caribbean Muslims is trying to coordinate effort in the Caribbean. We have the Libyan scheme in 1981, Caribbean Islamic Conference, and they tried to organize. WAMI came, IFSO came, and they are trying. From our effort in the Caribbean, which is indigenous, was ICRA. And so far, and then before the 2007 fiasco with JFK and what have you, we used to come every year to Trinidad, Caribbean Muslim Forum. I'm mentioning these things that institutions, they take time to build. We have come a far way. And this, as is in our introduction to our report, we mentioned this is another, it is a continuous effort and we applaud it. Guyana. And I am saying that all of us should applaud this effort that we can come, but this will take time. And I do believe if we are setting plans, we should focus on how we strengthen this and facilitate this. Number two, we should focus on, in our report we mentioned we need our own scholars. Not only in Islam, because we have brothers coming back with their first degree. And at that level, at what we call the bachelor level, they can address the issues because we have difficulties with them. We will have to go to, when Sheikh Alwani was around, we used to have to go to him and ask. We'll have to write Sheikh Al-Qaldawi, state your issues in broad, and then they will give you some guidelines, how you approach, from Guyana I'm speaking about, how you approach this, how you approach that, and sometimes we traveled out, Dr. Anis Ahmad and what have you, to get little guidance, because these, and we need to understand that first degree don't make you a scholar, all right, or an expert. Good? So we need, I believe we need to enhance the process that we need to get experts in the various field of knowledge to facilitate a Caribbean development. At this forum here, we can look at those issues for the long term because institutions will develop over time. No institution in the world has just come at a meeting, take time. And we have to get the patience and the dedication to see it through. Work with it, allow it to grow, step by step, piece by piece. And the other thing I think we need to focus on is to strengthen what is happening in each individual territory to facilitate, probably get some training program. In the reports that will identify their training needs and what have you. We focus on those, right? The organizers, we focus on those. Allow the communities to grow and facilitate them to grow. And we can get maybe annual, every 2 years or what have you, we can sit again, talking what is going on, and allow this to take a natural growth and time. And it will take time, maybe 10, 15 years down the road before we get something solid in the Caribbean, where we can really, because every individual territory, I'm representing GIT. GIT is just part of the Muslim community out there. So even if I take a decision here for the GIT, CIG is there, Tabligh Jama'ah is there, Guyana Muslim Mission Limited is there. Okay, so still there are so many people out. I represent maybe 10% of the Guyanese Muslim. All right? So, but institutionally, like in Guyana, we are working together Instead to get 3 Eids, we get 1 Eid now. We used to get 3 Eids, but we were able to come together. We have 1 now. In the old days, there were a lot of conflict. CIOG, GIT. Alhamdulillah now, for this is our 3rd year. We are running our summer courses jointly. We sit together, we plan together, we finance it together, and get it through. And our young people across the country, over 100 and something young people come and they benefit from it. So I'm saying within each, we are working to develop those institutions that will bring the Muslims more together so we can utilize our resources for the greater benefit of our communities rather than everybody doing the same thing independently. So more resources being used, and so we use less resources and get the same benefit. So we can do more things with our resources. So those for those large communities. But then we have small communities like Aruba, Montserrat, and what have you. They need a lot of help. So we can work with the larger communities here, Trinidad, Guyana, maybe Suriname, to go and assist. And probably the coordinating committee, they can assist. So I am thinking that's the way how we have to look at the way forward. This immediate within the next 5 years. And allow leaders to evolve and develop by training, skill enhancement. And by that time, we can get more stronger structures. Because we don't look at structures so much, we look at developing people. Yep.
Okay, inshallah. So I think we have we've gotten a lot of ideas, and certainly there will be more ideas. What I would suggest is that we begin to we have now started that process, a continuing process to be able to talk about it. Now, the best thing at this late stage in the evening would be for us to be able to print some of these things out. It's only on 2 sheets, so there's a couple of sheets of paper. We sleep on it, as they say, we read it, and then we reflect upon it, and then we can come back, inshallah. Tomorrow will be a full day of education, and a lot of what we are talking about has to deal with education as well. So we will come back to a lot of these issues, inshallah. So let us do that, inshallah, and we'll circulate it, the more ideas that you have, and then the more that you can do. And if you have specific things that you would like to add to the document, just let us know. It is not a document which belongs to somebody. This document which hopefully will come and evolve from us, inshallah. So with this, inshallah, we will end here with Dua Kafara and Surah Al-Asr, inshallah. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.